Okay, okay, we're live. I need to get a new recording system here, one of the ones that track you. That sure would help me, especially when I'm be doing uh, the fuel conversion process. And anyway, so I'm just updating what I put out last night, and I've actually drawn it out on paper this morning. Went and had coffee and toast, and it looks like this waste into biogas into GEET gas uh, thermal processor unit's going to work. You know, I'm basically taking technology that's been around in England for 100 years, merging that with the Joe pipe technology that the Lord gave me that supplies the heat for the GEET reactor to make it work. And the GEET reactor, of course, designed by Paul Pantone, he is imprisoned for what the Lord gave him. He suffered for it. That had disappeared from America a few years ago. The GEET technologies ended up in France. And they're using the GEET gas to fly helicopters, to drive trucks, power generation at an efficiency 4, 5, 6, 700%. So that's what I'm offering to put on the table. If I had for the last 20 years at least, I had this on the table, and I never felt the peace of the Lord to reveal it. So it's taken up to this time. Now is the time that what the Lord has given me to design a system for converting all forms of waste into, it could be reformed into gas, diesel, propane. You can take it a step further and you take the biogas and you process that through what I call the Joe pipe thermo reactor. And so the biogas goes through the center of the pipe, from your gasification process. I'm not getting into gasification. I may on a second video. So I'm just taking the output from biogas, whether it's plastic, whether it's rubber, whether it's a mix of plastic and rubber, whether it's wood that can be converted into charcoal. You take off the biofuel, uh, even human waste. That's what I'm looking at. So you get this mix that comes in, and it goes through a pipe, and around that pipe I have what I call a G2 Joe pipe system. And what that is that it's a second pipe around the biogas feed, right? So your gas is going to come in 8, 9, 10, 1100 degrees, just below the red point, but it's not really hot enough to burn. It really needs to be about 17, 1800 degrees, and you mix that with air, condensed air, or, it could be pressurized air, and you form lots of energy, lots of heat. So you're improving the process. So you can use the Fischer-Tropsch process to convert biogas at that point into petroleum products, or you could go to the next stage where you take that biogas and you process it through the Joe pipe thermo reactor. And what that does is raise the heat content 400 or 500 degrees. Okay, and you still got 12 to 1500 degrees coming out of the system. So you're taking very little bit of fuel. Probably tap some of the biogas and see if that would actually ignite in the Joe pipe. And if it does, then it'd be actually phenomenal. So you can take any kind of waste, and say if you want to get into producing carbon black from tires, where you take tires and render it down, you'd have to make a gas fire big enough to hold that. You'd have to make your set that within, it'd be like a pot within a pot, or a pressure cooker in a pot, and you use the GEET gas as the heat source. This would be the ultimate, because the GEET gas you don't have to worry about catching the emissions. You can put the hot emissions to work. The emissions are basically no carbon and just air mixed with maybe enriched hydrogen, but it's you could breathe the exhaust when you use GEET gas as a fuel. The exhaust is breathable. So virtually you're taking a fuel that produces no carbon emissions, yet it's going to have a temperature between 2300 to 2600 Fahrenheit. Okay, so that's your economical heating system, your gasifier or your pyrolysis system. Nobody in the world will be able to actually compete with a system like this because it's foolproof and it's very simple. You're just taking what's out there, reforming it by the mind of the Lord into a working package. So you got your ability to generate your biogas, and you take that and you need to upgrade it from a micron level. It might be a mix of different carbon chains, right from 50 microns down. But it is still in the second state of matter, right? Even that fuel has to be, it's still in a vapor state. So maybe it's at the phase change where it wants to go from the gas like a wet steam into a dry steam. So that's what you need to do. So you pass it through the Joe pipe thermo reactor, which is a simple catalytic cracker. Okay, it's going to break up those carbon chains and shorten them. But you're still going to have a mix. Then you need to add in a plasma diffuser, enhancer, or whatever it is. It's just a plasma field like this that you create. You already got excess of fuel. You're extending your fuel level a minimal of up to 10 times, and for whatever purpose. So you have that excess fuel, GEET gas, that you can tap off for your gasifier. So you basically got a free heat source. It's not costing you anything. You still have lots of fuel that you can in your reserve. This is all made by converting the biogas into a GEET gas, right? And so you take the spent heat from the Joe pipe thermal reactor, and you tap that in to the GEET fuel processor. For those of you that understand GEET, you GEET guys out there, and so the heat from the Joe pipe would be sufficient, more than sufficient, to cause the reaction within the GEET reactor tube, within that nuclear reactor. There's a rod in there that spins on vacuum, so you have to apply vacuum to this. Make some kind of vacuum generator, inline vacuum generator, where the vapor can be pulled through. So you got vacuum that's drawing the biogas, right? It's being pushed out, from your gasifier system, and you're taking that and you're breaking it down. Right? So the spent CO2 from the Joe pipe that is used to get the GEET reactor going, you need to mix that in with the biofuel. Right? In between the thermal reactor and the GEET fuel processor, you want to make this is where your plasma rectifier would go. It's not big. You're just making a ring and putting high voltage through it, where you're creating a spinning magnetic electrical plasma. Right? So as your mix of your CO2 and your biogas, right, that needs to go into a mixing chamber, which is easy enough to do. It's a simple Venturi tube would work on that, or I forget the actual name for it. And then you bring it through that plasma reactor. So when it goes into the GEET fuel processor, you should have a nano-sized stock fuel, and so that would enable you to calibrate the fuel reactor rod inside. You would have to calibrate that rod, make it to the actual working distance, and uh, in a GEET fuel processor, this rod, the longer the carbon chain, like diesel, if you're converting diesel to gas, you need a longer rod. Gasoline uses a shorter rod. So this is where your testing will come into play. What's the most efficient length of a GEET reactor rod to design for the system? So you got your fuel coming in at a sub-micron level, which is phenomenal. There's no injectors out yet, I think, that actually do this. You can't use pressure. Very hard to use pressure to create like a nano-sized fuel. So you're creating this nano-sized fuel, and that's your stock fuel to be converted into GEET gas. So just thinking of it this way, you could have a tabletop system all set up. You could have a line of people stretching down a block. They're bringing up their fuel tanks to be filled up. So you got your GEET gas coming out. You're producing lots of it. You just need a compressor to start filling up the people's propane tanks, because GEET gas is compressible and it can be stored. So that's it. I'd like for this to go out. Maybe one of you out there already gone through the steps of setting up a GoFundMe account, and let's get this going. My friend Don Stein, who I taught this technology to 7-8 years ago, good guy, brilliant. He's an out-of-box thinker, but he ran with this the technology that the Lord gave me, and ran to his professor in Victoria, and he ended up putting a patent on what the Lord gave me back in 2004. And he's promised me the sky, saying, Joshua, don't worry about it, I'll take care of you. Money's not a problem. I'll let you, do the skunk works and all this. But it's been 7 years, and, what I gave him, he's taken it and patented it, right, and developed some, a good system out of it for converting CO2 into fuel. But he's using it for himself. He's not using it for the kingdom of God. So I gave him this period of time, and now the Lord is saying, okay, Joshua, it's time to move on to what I've given you in your heart. Because by the Spirit of the Lord, and the Spirit of the Lord moves in me, invention is not a problem. The Lord just shows me how to do it. He shows me He brings me from A to C, and where I know it's going to work even before it's even made. So that's the gifting that the Lord's put in me. But okay, let's make this open source. I need to work with over in England, with your, with the remnant, and I like to put this message out that I like to work with the patriot groups that are already out in the world. This CSL or groups, like maybe Jennie's group, your group, Jennie, your people, because you're the one that introduced me to all these other groups across the United States of America. So I like to work with you and these preppers out there to put such a system together. I could easily fix up my little workshop outside, and just need to be able to make the components and buy what's necessary to develop the system. And as a patent should be put on it. That's about 10,000 or more. But it'd be something not just to protect it from people in the world taking it, but to be shared open source to the remnant, right? And having this technology gives you the ability to take any form of waste, doesn't matter what it is, either through gasification or pyrolysis or plasmification technologies where you create this biofuel, break it down into a nano-sized fuel, and be converted into GEET gas. It would give you unlimited fuel system. So once the system's perfected, you'll be even able to take your own septic waste and completely dispose of it and turn it. You either make fuels out of it, petroleum products, or you can convert it to GEET gas. So you have something wherever you are on the planet. It doesn't matter where. Now you have the power that God has put the power and the knowledge and His kingdom technology into your hands. This is what I want to do is to develop this kingdom technology. The Lord did give it to me, back in 2004, and now it's time to get this going. So I'm just looking for feedback on this video, and I'm gonna weigh it and see if the interest is there. If it is the time, God will have me to begin to network with others to develop this. I need to work with you out there that are steam engineers, particle physics, gasification, steam engineering, that understands about biogas and various forms of organic gas, and those that, that basically understand thermodynamics. Because what we're doing is creating a fuel that's dirty. We're putting it through the process, the drill pipe thermal reactor, and that turns a dirty fuel into a clean burning fuel that gives off poisonous emissions to a fuel that's totally consumed and turned into a non-carbon producing, not going to be no carbon. All the carbon, which is matter, right? Carbon makes up matter, is converted into a clean heat source, clean energy source. Could be used for heating, could be used for power. You're already set up to gasify your own waste. It's a win-win situation. So this is what I'm bringing to the table, and I do need your feedback on it. I like to know where you stand in understanding what I'm bringing forth, right? Well, whoever has this tabletop device, it's going to run an entire community and have the potential to produce the heat for your homes and the fuel to run generators and different things like that. And you're already taking care of the number one problem is how do you get rid of your septic waste, right? So you're taking care of your number one problem right off the bat. So I'd like to open up a company just for, it's good to have it. I want to just call it Kingdom Technologies. That's it. If it's still out there. Kingdom Technologies. So, please get back to me. I know this is getting in to be a long video. And I'd like to know, within the CSL groups all out there, across the world, when I'm knocking on your door and I'm saying, well, could you help me with this? Would you like to work together to develop this technology? You know about steam engineering, you know about particle physics, you know about Victor Schroeder's work. Oh, this guy over here is familiar with how to build a GEET fuel processor. This is the kind of help that I'm requesting, right? And financial help will come. The Lord supply the funds if this is His time. The Lord gave me a word many years ago. I'm going to end it here. And He said, a time would come in your life where God will place unlimited finances in your hands to be for the kingdom of God. And we're coming into hard times. And if you have this, We're going to be able to survive the 7 years that we're coming into. A repeat of 1929, but on a much larger scale. This is Joshua Taylor, Donald D. Taylor, coming to you this Friday from my little place here in Boston Bar, British Columbia, Canada. This place that God has blessed me with.